For over 7,000 years, House Helmawr has ruled over Necromunda in one form or another, making it one of the oldest noble families in the Segmentum Solar, and certainly the oldest on Necromunda. Necromunda has been part of the Imperium for 10,000 years, brought into compliance by the Imperial Fists Legion during the Great Crusade. Few reliable records of Necromunda remain from these early centuries, and those that do tell of a world suffering from almost constant warfare. During this lost age, Necromunda repeatedly rebelled against the Imperium, and the Adeptus Terra was forced to send forces to pacify the planet more than once. After 3 millennia of strife, a true leader at last emerged from the throngs of corrupted hive lords and savage gang kings. Martek Helmawr, a street tough from the drudging hubs of Hive Primus, led a war of conquest, first within his own hive, then out across the wastes of Necromunda. House Helmawr's progenitor remains an enigmatic figure within the histories of Necromunda, though if the grandiose statues and paintings in the spire of Hive Primus are to be believed, he was 10 feet tall and impossibly handsome. Inscriptions on these statues and paintings also claim Martek was the fittest man in all Necromunda, able to walk the wastes without a respirator, and also a great dancer. Martek and his reign have been largely lost to history, though rumour has it that within the Spear of Dawn, the Imperial Fists fortress atop Hive Primus, there is a fresco of one of the few remaining true images of Martek Helmawr kneeling before an Imperial Fists captain, taking the oath of governance. After centuries of able rulers and countless attempts by the other great houses of Necromunda to unseat House Helmawr, Martek's line had begun to stagnate. By the 37th millennium, the House of Helmawr was succumbing to decadence and decline, its rulers often more interested in personal excesses than governance. Voss the Younger spent his rule in a gas-induced coma, while his followers were forced to listen to his dreaming whispers for their commands. Targan III created chaos when he moved his entire court to the Underhive to escape the incessant criticism of Necromunda's moons, while Dagon the Scaled spent years indulging in horrific genetic experiments on himself and his kin. It was not until the death of Hyrule Helmawr, however, sometime in the midpoint of the 37th millennium, that Necromunda faced the greatest threat to the Pax Imperium since the Second Great Pacification. Hyrule left 2 children with equal claims to rule, Lady Cyndarak and Lord Gothrul. While this was not the first time a Lord or Lady Helmawr had died without a clear line of succession, not that nominating a heir always works, more than one Lord or Lady Helmawr secured their position by aggressively moving up the line of succession. It was complicated by the fact that the 2 siblings lived on opposite sides of the planet. Lady Cyndarak resided in Hive Primus and Lord Gothrul in the Needle. Each had their own armies and massive power bases. What followed was known as the Two-Faced War, as the two Helmawrs fought for rulership, all the time being careful not to let things get out of hand, lest the Imperium intervene. And if you are a planetary governor, you do not want the Imperium to intervene in your affairs, as this usually involves orbital bombardment and guardsmen shooting up the place. In the end, Cinderak emerged victorious, and Gothrul got a hive named after him. Some say his remains are still beneath it somewhere. In more recent times, few have seriously opposed the rule of House Helmawr, and succession has passed from one generation to the next with a minimum of disruption, not that there hasn't been the odd assassination or strange occurrence. In 646 M41, Marius Helmawr was killed in his bed by the Underhive gang leader Dogpit Karg. How a scummer like Karg made it into the spire, let alone the inner sanctum of the Lord of Necromunda, still remains a mystery. Some say the assassination had something to do with a debt owed by Marius to House Delac. Others say it wasn't a debt, but a secret Marius couldn't be trusted with. Of course, Marius's eldest son Tiberius, who succeeded him to rule, didn't waste too much time looking into it. That House Delac won a number of Imperial House contracts during those first years of Tiberius's reign probably has nothing to do with Marius's death. The current Lord Helmawr, Gerontius, is perhaps the most formidable Helmawr to hold the title of Lord of Necromunda for 100 generations. Born under auspicious astrological signs and a rare convergence of Necromunda's 3 largest moons, it was whispered among the seers of Hive Primus that Gerontius might be the last of his line. Despite these dark portents, Gerontius quickly made his mark upon the world. Under his rule, the planet has prospered like never before, despite record levels of conflict between the clan houses and their proxies. By his command, the ghast harvests of the Forbidden Cities flourished, and enemies, like the rebel lords of Aratheus, were weeded out and exterminated. Or so the Imperial House supposes. Gerontius has done much to secure the legacy of his family, siring dozens of sons and daughters, some of whom are more capable and less homicidal than others. Most of his children resent their father, his long life, and his reluctance to give up power. They're also not fond of Gerontius's pet caryatid, Blinky, who many of his offspring believe he loves more than any of them, which is not without justification, considering Blinky has more staff to see to his need than most Spire nobles. Today, Gerontius keeps his court in the Spire of Hive Primus, surrounded by throngs of advisors and bodyguards. One eye is focused on the billions toiling for his benefit, and the other on the Imperium, lest they meddle in his affairs.